I have been fascinated with AI, and I'm going to use that term generically because first, I loved the movie AI. I really did. I guess it wasn't critically acclaimed, or at least that I know of. People didn't like it. I enjoyed the hell out of it. Still do. But when ChatGPT hit the scene about a year ago, really, it knocked me for a loop. I was just blown away with what it was that I was using, because the first time I ever did anything like that would have been back in the days of DOS. Dr. Sbatso as a synthesizer on the old PC. You'd ask it a question, or you give it a prompt, and then it would respond. ChatGPT was just I saw it right away. You didn't even have to tell me it was a game changer, and I said, this is a game changer. And then started to play around with tools like Stable Diffusion, and found myself enamored with the idea that I could give it a quick prompt, and almost immediately, all things considered, right? I'd get an image, and I say immediately because remember, I grew up in a time where you had film in cameras, and you had to develop the film in a photo mat, and an hour later, if you were lucky, you get in that. Sometimes you'd have to take it in for a couple days, but an hour photo mat, unheard of. So when I say a relatively quick turnaround, I was not spoiled by instantaneous anything, including microwave ovens. Those were relatively new back, at least when I was growing up in the 80s. So, I certainly remember our family's first microwave. So again, just trying to give you perspective in terms of when I talk about something like this is really something, this is huge. And I'm a software advocate, always have been. So there are common tools that everybody seems to know about. There's ChatGPT, Midjourney for images. There are a few others, but I have found myself floating to certain ones that I feel are doing a better job in a certain respect. So Midjourney, I'm unfortunately paying for right now. And I say unfortunately because I remember I signed up for it. I'm like, yeah, I'll use it. This is great. I'll just go for a year. I'll be using it for a year. Well, here's the problem. Technologies and websites and services are advancing at such a rapid rate that now there are some services that do certain images better than Midjourney, which is good because competition keeps everybody healthy, right? Everybody's got to kind of, ratchet it up. But it's bad if you were paying for it and you didn't do it, monthly like I was doing for a while. I shouldn't have flipped annually. So I thought I would talk about some of the services that I have been using in recent weeks, AI services. And I think this would be, and I'm not saying tonight's the night, but I would find it fascinating for all of us to have a conversation or a topic maybe, and this may be a way we do something in an upcoming week to mix it up. Instead of sharing top 10 tips, we have a conversation topic, a specific topic that we go by, and then we go from there. Certainly if there's, a shared interest. But AI has been incredibly disruptive, whatever you want to call it, like pattern recognition, AI, whatever it is, what's happening now is powerful. And I'm certainly using it on a regular basis. So I don't know if y'all use the same amount of tools that I do. I think I don't know if I got y'all hooked on this, but I saw I saw a few of you sharing the results in chat. I'm just going to pull it up. Now, I've got my tablet here. Let me dim it a tiny bit, see if that shows up a bit better. But I'll also say that the video editor folk may have a better way of rendering things in a screencast. But this is hotshot.co. And at Hotshot, what you can do is you can tell it what you want as a prompt, and it'll generate an animated GIF. These are all AI generated. So you can tell. So this is a clown drinking a can of Coca-Cola. Or this is clearly a rabbit fall. And it at first glance, you would look at that and think, man, that looks real. I'm sorry about the glare there, everybody, but like I said, I'm just this is the best way that I can handle it in this particular situation right now. But this is it's easy, it's free, it's accessible. You log in, you give it a prompt, and pretty soon you got a 2-3 second animated GIF that works wonders. And this to me is the power at our fingertips. Not perfect. Obviously, there's some weird stuff that happens with a lot of these generations, but it works well enough. And especially if you've got the patience to iterate and change and reprompt and hone in on what it is that you're looking for. But this is one of the tools that, should I need an animated GIF that I can't find that doesn't exist, I would go over to hotshot.co. Another one that I've been recommending, I recommended this to my brother, Ben, is because he was talking about, I showed him, I think at the time, I showed him Midjourney when he was visiting with his wife, my sister-in-law. I said, oh, yeah, you can generate images, print them out, show them in your class because he's a phys ed teacher. And I did not know about this tool back then, and that was just a few months ago. But this is ideogram.ai. And here, what I love about this is it's easy. You jump right in, log in. It's free. That I know of, there's really no limitations apart from like nerfing your generation time. But what's cool is I could scroll through and find an image that I like. Let's say, okay, so let's say this puppy dog that's hanging out in this coffee mug. And you can see the word Dusty, the name Dusty. What I could do is I could take that as an inspiration or a foundation and go and change the word, swap out the word Dusty with Chris or Chris Perillo or Locker Gnome or whatever, and keep generating, keep iterating until I get the image that I want. So I can base, and you can do that on Midjourney as well. But with this, it's far more user-friendly. And I would say a lot of the images that are generated are typically with words or letters. And they've done that very well. And a lot of pop culture, it's got a certain style to it that you don't necessarily get outright from Midjourney, because it's all about your language model, right? And I believe that's the correct terminology. The foundation, like your data that you're pulling from. And so it's not necessarily your prompt, it's where you are actually prompting. So I've been very happy with the cartoony style images. If I want to generate a cartoony style image on Pictogram, or sorry, not Pictogram, that's another service, ideogram.ai. And like I said,
how do you spell that?
Free. Ideogram, ideogram.ai.
I got it now.
Yeah, and you jump right in, start playing with it, and you wouldn't imagine that you needed something like this, but you do. Especially when my brother had a birthday, and so what I did was I went to Midjourney, and I generated an image of him, and then wound up doing some fancy work and working it such that I was able to generate an image with his name in it. So it worked really, really well because it was a personalized kind of experience. So you got to fiddle. Like, you got to play. You got to experiment. And this is a perfect place to do it. And it's not Midjourney. I'm not going to say it's better. It's just different. The next one is it's somewhat similar. You've heard of Bing, but the thing I would really recommend with Bing, you could search and you could use it as a Google alternative, but they've got an image creator, and for a while it was okay, but then they upgraded to DALL-E 3, and it is outstanding. Like, it produces images that, I thought I could only get out of Midjourney. And there are times that, Midjourney does better. There are times that Bing does better. But here's the beauty of any of this. And y'all can still see me, right?
Yes.
I'm asking that because the screensaver kicked in. So the thing you can do with a prompt, this is the beautiful thing. I could type the prompt here, hit enter, get an image. I could type the prompt over here, get an image. Different service, different prompts. Sorry, I meant to go back over to Hotshot, or go back to Ideogram. Type the same prompt and get the same. So if you get one prompt, you can just do it on the different sites over and over and over again to get something closer to what it is that you happen to be looking for. But if you've not yet tried Bing, and this is just a generic prompt, it's not something that I've done recently, although, can I get to my history easily from here? Let's see, where's my history? Bing, the layout is not as simple. Here, I'll hit surprise me, and then it should, there we go, surprise me. It's loading, there we go, create. It surprised me with a prompt. Now I can get the history. So then I can go back and look, through older generations of art that I might have done just by taking somebody else's prompt and remixing and adding my own flair to it. So Bing does a fantastic, don't write it off because it's Bing or it's Microsoft. It was good before, it's amazing now. And that's ChatGPT, of course, OpenAI powered DALL-E 3, but it's free and it's accessible. So it's absolutely worth using. If you've not tried it yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. I really, genuinely don't. Another one, and I do a lot of, if I if I'm using AI, a lot of what I might use it for is imagery. This is a cool one too, especially if you happen to have a YouTube or a Twitch channel. Now it was so popular, he ended up registering its own domain, and this is emojis.sh. And what you can do here is generate AI emoji. And it looks like iPhone type emoji. You type whatever, and it'll make that emoji. Blue bear, and it made a blue bear emoji. Like, and you can download it and use it. Like, it's the simplest way of generating emoji that looks like it was done by a professional designer. And I realize it's going to piss off a lot of professional designers who are paid a lot for emoji. And I'm not saying that it wasn't worth me getting a custom emoji that I might have wanted, but I probably could have saved bank by using a service like this to get the emoji that I might have wanted back in the day. But this is an absolute, all these are absolute must-haves, must bookmarks, must use, especially if you were interested in anything that you might not have been able to do yourself specifically in graphic design. But I love this. This is the best free emoji generator, AI emoji, over almost 1 million. I'm sorry, not quite a million. I was going to say over 900,000. Then I realized how close to 1 million it was. And this is just launched just a few weeks ago. That's how good it is. It is absolutely worth using. All of these certainly are. And then the last tool I have for my roundup today is Gamma. And this is kind of a shifting gears. Obviously not, well, okay, if it's not obvious, it's not an image generator. It's a website generator that allows you to start with a simple idea, or even a presentation generator. Simple idea, and then you can effectively expand upon it. So I ended up using this a few months ago when I needed some kind of, let's see if I can close that. Let me just move it here. Close. Come on. Samsung sometimes, okay, just ignore the keyboard. The keyboard's going to float. But I wanted to create some kind of, not a portfolio, but basically a way to explain to people, here's what I'm interested in, here's what I might be able to do for you. So I fleshed out these basic, bullet points. Here's, I'm a creator. I like helping creators enable and companies understand creators and their audience and community and all this stuff. And what it did, and I did do some tweaking with it afterwards, but it generated just on a few simple bullet points, a whole web page on it. An entire web page that looks like it was professionally designed, professionally written. It's perfect. And of course I went in and customized it, certainly. But out of all the website generating tools or presentation tools that I'd seen to this point, starting with a very simple outline, not knowing where you needed to go, Gamma by far has exceeded any of them in terms of accessibility, in terms of usability, in terms of quality output, in terms of onboarding, and in terms of cost. Because I was able to do like referrals after because you can generate the website, doesn't cost anything. But then the more AI generations you do, you may have to get, pay for credits. I ended up saying, hey, here's what I did, and I got referral credits. And it does not take much to get referral credits, even, with my very limited reach. But Gamma, here, it's at gamma.app, A-P-P. And it is, like I said, what's that?
2 M's?
Yeah, Gamma, like the gamma rays that, Bruce Banner had, in his body.
Got it.
Exactly. So that one to me is more of a productivity tool, but you could have a lot of fun with it in thinking when you're looking at a blank page and you don't know where to go with it. It's daunting. But the more you play with these types of tools, the easier it gets for you to understand that you're not just needing to stare at a blank page anymore. And I wish I had this for certain scenarios where I needed to build a web page or a presentation and just had a few scant, ideas, chicken scratch really. That's where AI really comes in handy. With the image generation, absolutely, images for sure. But like productivity wise, that's where it's going to become a lot more transformative. I would not have been able to roll out that web page and say, hey, come and look at my website, because it wasn't perfect. I'm like, nah, it needs to be tweaked here, there, and everywhere. You got to customize it at that point. But to go from effectively 0 to 60 in no time flat is, it's not something you see all that often with technology. It, to me, it's just we're on the precipice of a major transformation in terms of what we use, how we use it, and why. And so I'm always looking for new AI, quote unquote, AI tools that I can use and I can jump into, and happy to share. I like the ones that I love the productivity ones, certainly. Although I feel a lot of those are going to get not watered down, but diminished in value as Microsoft and Google continue to evolve, and Apple to a potential degree, evolve their own generative AI services and bake them into their platforms. But the more vertical types of services, like the AI emoji generator, for example, I don't think you're going to see the big players go after them. And that's where it gets exciting, because the market's not small enough, but it's big enough to be interesting. So yeah, there are many tools out there that aren't Mid-Journey or ChatGPT that I do use on a very regular basis when I need it, right? I don't use it just because I'm sitting down at the computer. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to make something. No, it's like, okay, I have a need to do something, whether it's, design a model for 3D printing. I used QForge after I want to say this was a Mid-Journey. This was a lot of these are Mid-Journey images. Not 3D printed, of course, in Mid-Journey. These are all flat. But I ended up baking them in desktop software called QForge. The Darth Vader pumpkin. Love this one. Just did this one. In fact, actually, I'm going to give you a bonus. This one I did. This one I really like because it's got like a leafy texture. Vader walking through like an autumn forest. The bonus I'm going to give you is a full-on mobile app, not web-based. But it's Get Remix, or Remix. It's available on iOS and Android. And it's basically a social network or social media platform where all you do is basically make images. Or you take somebody else's image and you remix, right? So I can go, there's the Joker. There's a couple people standing at McDonald's. There's a monster. There's a woman. There's Prince, or the artist formerly known as Prince. Different styles, different Little Shop of Orders. Audrey too, a Little Shop of Horrors, but I can go, or it says a Venus flytrap there, but I can hit the remix button and then go through and generate something on top of that, and then go through, various iterations, change up words, so I can say Darth Vader or Star Wars, and then it would change the remix of it, and then I would post that to my profile, and then people could remix from there. So I remix the flytrap there, or I can say, I didn't like that, I'm gonna try varying it. So I'm gonna not just re-roll, but I'm going to add a variance to it to see if I can get it to be a little different than it was before. So you can remix, you can share to your feed, but then once it's shared to your feed, you can also download it locally. So you can save and export, and that's exactly what I did with this one. So that's something that if you're just kind of like, well, I don't know, I don't want to go to a website, I don't remember a website. Like, this is so hard. It isn't hard. It really isn't. Like, if it was hard, like I would be like throwing these huge caveats at you. This is so simple. This is so simple, and it's fun. So if you were always wondering what it would be like to just post images that you could generate, it doesn't get any easier than Remix. It is a full-on stem to stern remixing platform for you to potentially connect with other people by way of you generate something really cool. And that's scraping the surface in terms of what Remix does. But like I said, I'm always looking for these types of tools and I find them absolutely fascinating, transformative. And there are many that I've heard of, but probably more that I haven't. A lot of them are behind, paywalls, and I tend to steer away from those because I'm like, well, if it's fun, it's fun. If I need it, like it's an absolute, a productivity boon, then I'm probably going to pay for it. But a lot of these tools right now aren't necessarily, unless it's like super, super targeted in terms of what you need to do and what it can do for you. A lot of this stuff can be done after logging in, usually a free login. I always look at the pricing information up front. Like, do I want to try this? I'm always looking for different audio types of tools, like for not just remixing, but processing. Adobe's got a good free podcasting tool that you can use.
Yes, I have incorporated that in my practical work last week. I've always used for audio cleanup the Isotope plugins, and they do a fairly good job at it. But in order to get your signal very, very clear, you end up sounding like Alpha 5 from the first season of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. It's just like a total robot. And I tried, they gave me this project with the production audio with no possibility of ADR, fix it. I tried every trick in the book, and I ended up Googling it. And Adobe came to my rescue. And if it wasn't up for that, I don't think I would have made rent this month.
It's crazy. I think the free version has up to a half hour for audio processing. I haven't used it because if I needed it, I would have needed more time. And I'm like, I don't process audio enough to justify that additional cost. But if you're looking for an audio processing tool, Adobe.
I was covered because since I got my login, my Google login information from the university I work for, and they are subscribed to everything that Adobe has to offer to a university. I love it. I really love it. I was so impressed.
I'm telling you. So even I knew, even not being an audio guy, I knew up front, like, that's the one. That just seems like that is Adobe. I don't think is going to put its name on it unless it was like
it still needs a little bit of tweaking.
Sure, like it, but like anything, it's just that it gets you 95% of the way there. And then totally give it to an expert, right? And then they can take it all the way through.
It made it so much easier.
Yeah, and I'm like I said, I'm enamored with the whole AI thing. I'm hopeful for the future. I don't think it's going to replace everybody. That actually may, and I would love to get CNIP on if we do a talk about this kind of stuff, because I think CNIP would be really, really good for these deeper conversations to have around it. I don't want to get into it today. Philosophically speaking, AI replacing people, replacing jobs, careers, etc. Yeah. But it's definitely disruptive for sure.
Yeah.
Anything else to add, folks? Go ahead.
That's what I was thinking about which I'm like really amazed about what it's doing, the Gamma AI tool.
Yeah.
From my point of view, if I am talking completely selfishly, I love it. Especially everyone's its own particular case, but I am this close to being an entire hermit. And I love doing what I do, but the human interactions scare the living.
Yeah.
You know? So, but then in the other hand, trying to be as fair as I can be, do I smell another strike this time by web developers in this case? Even though I understand that the sense of the copywriting based on your input cannot be matched. To my understanding, and as little or as far as I've used AI tools, but the more detailed and more information you give it, it's very hard for a human being to compete with that. So you are ethically in this between a rock and a hard place. And that's my concern. Other than that, the tools are great and useful AF. But then,
But you that's the thing, is you can't push the horse back into the barn. In probably paraphrasing there, but like, it's out.
No, I gotcha.
Yeah,
you can't. We're done. Like that, you can't go back. There's zero chance of this not existing, and that's disruptive. That's incredibly disruptive. Which, if you had a career that was contingent on something that these programs can replace, it's that much more difficult.
Yeah, I can identify myself as one of them, because one of the many jobs I do, it's like creating jingles for morning radio shows and stuff based on popular music, which I just change around the lyrics to mention the station, the show, the host, the time. And ironically, that's one of the parts of my job which I enjoy the most. Just sitting down with a notebook and listening to the voiceless track, rhyming and last 2 projects I've been contracted to make like that, I've just recorded because I go to OpenAI, and I said, I need a funny lyric short based on, I don't know, X song by Bruno Mars. And it's got to mention this radio station, these are the hosts, and this is the airtime. And it comes up, I may have to revise it like one or twice at the most, but at the end of it, there's no way I could ever write anything as good as that result.
Yeah.
So I say the counter statement and bite my own tongue at the same time because I see its potential. We have to adapt.
It's coming.
I tell people that are nervous about AI taking over jobs, it will take over some jobs. I'm not saying it won't. It will have an impact, right? But people that are scared of AI, whether it be they don't know what it is or they've only heard about it on the news in a bad way, I always tell people, think of it as a tool. It's purely a tool. It can excel so many different things, whether it be science industry, technology, research, development, whatever it may be. It's a tool that's supposed to be paired with the end user. There will be industry impacted. Obviously, we're not going to get into that now, but it's an advancement. And it's already out. You can't take it back. And at this point, it's a tool. People are going to use it. And I think it's a good thing in a nutshell. And then I kind of wanted to touch real quick, Chris, on your talk about different AIs. We've done this back in the stream and even way back as early as like February when we were all really deep into playing around with different versions of ChatGPT and whatnot. Personally, for image generation, I have used ChatGPT to help me to build the prompt for the image, and then I'll copy that prompt and paste that into DALL-E or something like that. So I might have an idea of an image, but I don't have the exact
prompt.
I won't say imagination. Right, the exact in-depth prompt, or what are some keywords that I might miss? And because you can't write a paragraph or a book saying what you want, so ChatGPT might spit out 2 paragraphs. It's like, all right, condense that to a paragraph. All right, now condense that to 3 sentences. Now take out this, but add this. Do this, do that. Once you get a prompt that you like, you paste that into DALL-E, and you just keep hitting generate, and it's flawless. It's good.